mother and a caring grandmother. Please join me in welcoming Justice Olatoregun.
Let me start by appreciating Dr. Olatoregun, President of this branch, whose invitation to deliver this year's keynote address brought me here. I stand today a product of many learnings and experiences across different spheres of life. My journey has been a unique one. Ibadan Grammar School played a major role. I left Ibadan Grammar School about 49 years ago, and despite several rewarding connections made, I could not really recall more than 10 associates from that sojourn until a fortuitous telephone call changed all that. In 2020, my brother and friend, Dr. Tunji Ekemode, had invited me to the New Year party of the Lagos branch. I have since interacted with over 1,000 grammarians impacting the world. I'm very delighted to be part of this experience in Baltimore. I met Dr. Olatoregun for the first time in person 2 days ago. I also met another member of the Old Students Association who was my classmate at the University of Ife. It was only last year that I got to know that he attended Ibadan Grammar School. Maybe I ought to have guessed. I was to be in Dallas last year, but the COVID-19 pandemic, which has changed the dynamics of our lives, made that impossible. Dr. Olatoregun gave me free rein to pick any subject of my choice. I decided to shed more light on the judiciary, which has been criticized as being the weakest arm of government, and its weakness being part of the causes of insecurity in Nigeria. I've titled this paper, Judiciary and the State of Our Insecurity. I'm referring to Nigeria. I do not intend to delve into the nitty-gritty of our two current challenges in Nigeria, corruption and insecurity. I will just highlight the paper, which is already before us. I have the feelings that everybody has the paper. I'm not a politician. I only want to bring this current malaise to our subconscious. I also do not intend to read word for word the 16-page paper. This is a dinner. It's meant to be enlightening and not a lecture. It's Judiciary and the State of Our Insecurity. I have defined the issue of judiciary, and I've stated, insecurity rather, and I've stated that insecurity in Nigeria has attained very dangerous dimensions. According to the Global Terrorism Index rating, in 2020, Nigeria was ranked the 4th country in the world most impacted by terrorism. And as of this year, the country has dropped 2 places. This rating has been of significant concern to the national stakeholders. There seems to be a disconnect in the activities of security agents, including the police, state security agencies, the military, immigration, prison service, and the government, which has led to their business rating. The security agencies appear incapable of handling the issue of insecurity, which has become a hydra-headed monster. Practically no day passes without a report of banditry, death, abduction, or violent bomb attacks. I'm sure you know more about this than I do. And we read about all this. If I need to talk about, give examples of insecurity in Nigeria and how it has impacted our lives, I think it will take more than 200 pages. So I have spent time to introduce us to insecurity, lack of opportunities, high level of corruption, and capricious political culture, which have destroyed institutions and entrenched a climate of impunity all over the nation. I also stated here, I said, what does insecurity mean? And I refer to the Advanced Learner's Dictionary. Insecurity simply means a state of not being safe or protected in a broader or wider perspective. Insecurity presupposes a state of general breakdown of law and order, or a situation where the citizens are exposed to uncontrollable danger, whereby everyone lives in fear of whatever might happen the next moment. Insecurity, therefore, suggests a situation where a state of anarchy is unleashed on the general populace and human life becomes nasty, brutish, and short, to borrow the language of Thomas Hobbes. In such a state, my contention is that it does not require the wisdom of Solomon to appreciate that nothing good can thrive. I've given an example of what happened recently, 5th of June 2022, out of 1,001 example of how a church was attacked and a lot of people killed. I've referred to section 14 sub 2b of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria as amended to state that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government, meaning that government is supposed to take care of everybody in the country. Unfortunately, in this regard, government is struggling. In effort to curb insecurity in the country, they have promulgated so many anti-terrorism laws. This includes the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011, which was amended in 2013, and again, the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2013 was amended in 2022. The Commander-in-Chief is yet to sign this. So I asked, is insecurity a new phenomenon in Nigeria? So I said no. The trend started way back in the 60s. The 1963 coup is arguably the ugly cornerstone of the insecurity experienced today in Nigeria. Shortly after the Civil War, another extremist form of insecurity was unleashed on the country in the manner of armed robbery. This became so rampant that the military government at the time promulgated a decree recommending death by military firing squad for those found guilty of the crime. Since that time, we have witnessed so many other things: insurgency and terrorism, the Niger Delta challenges, rapid expansion and impunity across different parts of the country. And I've also said there's a myriad of destructive activities generating insecurity in Nigeria. I said in recent times, the southwest region of Nigeria has been plagued by a surge of cybercrime, armed robbery, kidnapping, domestic crime, extrajudicial killings, harder farmer conflicts, and ritual killings. I spoke about the Biafran angle of it, the IPOP, unknown gunmen, deterioration of security in the region, particularly in the east, amid a growing campaign for Biafran independence, staunchly championed by IPOP led by Nnamdi Kanu. South remains threatened by militancy, kidnapping, oil bunkering, and environmental agitation. The Northeast has been subjected to humanitarian crisis lasting over a decade and caused by Boko Haram insurgency. The Northwest is also enmeshed in killings and banditry. So we know about the Chibok girls, it's not new. And since the Chibok girls, we've had so many other abduction of school children and the rest of it. So I asked, what is the root cause of insecurity? And I will not go word by word or word for word, because I'm sure that we can look at it in our paper. So I'll just read out the headings which I've set up here as the root cause of insecurity. I spoke about religious extremism. Thousands of people have been killed while a large section of people have been displaced and now live in internally displaced persons camps. I mean, Maiduguri, or is it Makodi? Benue State is a good example. And also we have that in Plateau State. Ogun State, even though we've not declared IDP with camps, I know that we have some around the water. A lot of people living around that water area, they've left and moved away to neighboring countries out of fear because they attack almost every day. So I also spoke about the leadership challenges that we have in Nigeria. The Nigerian state for some time has not had the benefit of being governed by good leaders, as most of the political leaders have turned out to be in office for pecuniary gains. So I spoke about unemployment, an idle mind, we say, is the devil's workshop. So as the rate of unemployment continues to rise, so does the wave of crime and its attendant effects. I spoke about porous borders, particularly in the southwest, the north, we have porous borders, and Lagos area, we have inflow of migrants from other countries into Nigeria, Nigeria Republic, people from Chad, people from, I don't think people in the Republic, they are not so detrimental to our lives in the southwest, but I know Niger and Chad, I mean, they've constituted a menace. I spoke about proliferation of arms and ammunitions. I'm sure you have read so many times about how arms are illegally imported into Nigeria, and once they have that, they must use it. Some in very large quantities, which end up in the hands of criminals who apply the same in their nefarious activities in the country. I also spoke about illegal armed groups. The Niger Delta militants, Bakassi boys, Masop, Boko Haram, to name a few. I spoke about oil bunkering. Nigeria being one of the largest oil producing nations, suffers from the activities of illegal oil bunkering, thus making the coastal areas of our oil producing states unsafe. I'm sure you must have read that we have just paid huge money to Topolo to guide these areas. Then I spoke about militancy. According to criminal law, militancy is violence, illegal force, or the legal use of unjustified force, or the intimidating effect created by the threat of this act. I spoke about fear and distrust of government. I know a lot of us don't trust our governments. We are very skeptical, and with the current trend of violence is imprinting on the psyche of Nigerians is that government security apparatus is incapable of guaranteeing the safety and security of its people. This has seriously impacted on the general security of our people. I also spoke about something that is really, we spoke a little bit about it this morning, unprecedented level of poverty. There's poverty in Nigeria, there's no doubt about that. And when there's poverty, there's crime. So I also raised the issue, I said, what is the effect or impact of insecurity on the nation? Insecurity has greatly impacted all sections of the country, of the nation, most especially the economic sector. According to experts, insecurity affects economic growth by drying out investment and increasing unemployment. In Nigeria, over 80 million people are currently living in extreme poverty, representing 39% of the country. See the data from the online World Poverty Clock. Telecommunication companies are also not left out. For instance, in 2021, MTN predicted a possible disruption in their services due to rising insecurity challenges. I went to Judiciary, the main focus of our paper for the night. So I said, Judiciary is the arm of government which administers justice according to law. The term is used to refer broadly to the courts, the judges, the magistrates, adjudicators, and other support personnel who run the system. Some scholars and authors have argued that the word judiciary should encapsulate both lawyers and judges. However, this cannot be tenable in the face of the definition and rules ascribed to the word judiciary. I have given the definition according to the 6th edition of Black's Law Dictionary at page 849, which describes judiciary as that branch of government invested in the judicial power, the system of courts in the country, the body of judges, the bench. These definitions point to, I've also provided other definitions. These definitions point to the fact that the word judiciary refers to the bench and does not include the bar. These definitions can also be affirmed through the functions of the judiciary, which cannot be performed by the bar or any other body. I've referred to section 6, subsections 1, 2, and 3, and sections 230 to 294 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. I've referred to the case of Attorney General of Abia State against Attorney General of the Federation. I've supplied the citation, and the case of Atiku against Attorney General of the Federation, I've also supplied the citation. And I stated, judiciary ensure that every exercise of power by the other arms of government is in accordance with the principles of the rule of law. This can also be seen in many decisions of the courts, especially in fundamental rights cases. The courts apply the law, settle disputes, and punish offenders according to law. I have described the role of the judiciary towards a secure Nigeria, and I said judiciary is commonly and rightly referred to as the last hope of the common man. This presupposes that it guarantees equal access to justice and equity, and equally ensures that the rights of citizens are adequately accommodated and judgments handed down in accordance with the dictates of the law. The judges, as critical players in a safe Nigeria, must possess certain attributes which are non-negotiable. The judge must always ensure equity, fairness, and justice in dealing and adjudicating on law matters before them, which can only be achieved through the twin pillar of integrity and independence. Over the decades, the power of the judge are enormous and must be exercised judicially and judiciously through diligence, probity, and propriety in order to instill confidence and trust in our country, Nigeria. The Holy Bible dedicated the books of Judges, Joshua, and Samuel to the individuals chosen by God who occupies positions as rulers in times of conflict to redeem people from their enemies, secure justice, and maintain reverence in society. In the Old Testament, God showed his mercy to the Israelites by sending judges to save them. And I say that the role of the judge or the role of the judiciary, whether in peace or war, is virtually the same. Over the decades, the role played by the judiciary as an arm of government cannot be overstated. People have increasingly turned to the judiciary, hoping it can solve pressing social problems. Thus, public expectation of the judiciary have increased, also throwing the spotlight on the public's confidence in the judiciary. Must be fast and meet the situation at hand. Justice delayed is justice denied. When the trial takes too long, people also lose confidence in the judicial process and look for other ways of resolving their problems, basically resulting to self-help. Some of those can be anti-social behavior, which may cause social conflict. The prompt response of the judiciary to these issues include mitigating some of these delays. A good example is creating time limits for trials and a more effective case management approach as it is done in election petition cases. Recently, the Chief Justice of the Federation directed that special courts be set up within the judiciary, assigning judges to handle serious crimes, such as those bordering on terrorism and kidnapping. The courts must ensure quick justice delivery, as the judiciary is the bedrock of fairness and equity. Our judicial system is a key aspect of our democratic way of life. It supports peace, order, and good government. The judge is a judicial officer. As a judicial officer, is expected to exercise the judicial functions independently, based on the assessment of the facts and in accordance with the conscientious knowledge of the law, free of any extraneous influences, inducements, pressures, threats of interference, direct and indirect, from any quarter or for any reason so to secure Nigeria as effectively as possible. I said security without doubt is sine qua non to the sound coexistence of human beings. The nation's economic development and political stability. In maintaining the security of a nation, government must preserve the role of the judiciary. The standards developed by an efficient and independent judiciary have significant beneficial effect of making the lives of the people better, as well as the easier accomplishment of government goals. May I, however, state at this juncture that the issue of insecurity in Nigeria goes beyond the judiciary. It is more of a social political issue. This paper therefore suggests that there should be an open dialogue among Nigerians, cutting across all ethnic groups in order to negotiate and proffer ways and means for safety of lives and property and general harmonious coexistence. The Nigerian government must understand that the challenges posed by insecurity in our country require a proactive economic plan accompanied by a wealth of opportunities to help engage our people in productive activities that will help them dream of a better tomorrow and bring that better tomorrow into fruition. Of all the stories coming out of Nigeria and the world in general affecting Nigeria, the most scary is the issue of our insecurity, and it's the one that will affect, if a country is not secured, you cannot but have corruption and a host of other things. Corruption begets insecurity, insecurity begets corruption. They are brothers. So I ask the question again, what next? Are we ruled by fear as a nation or as people in the diaspora of the possibilities of a total breakdown in Nigeria? I doubt this as we continue to put money on IGS located right at the center of the chaos. Setting up the Center of Excellence / Global Giving Initiative means we believe in our school and what it represents. We believe that in spite of the insecurity challenges in Nigeria, our school must and will continue to thrive. I know how much this branch has poured on our school. No one puts money on a bad business. That same faith must be extended to our great country, Nigeria. It will amaze us that in spite of what people may think and believe in the diaspora, people are still bringing huge investments into Nigeria. Call it nationalistic fervor. I will call it investing in the future of our children and by extension, our country. I know nobody wants to, I've spoken to a few of us here. They don't want to come to Nigeria and they don't want to bring their children to Nigeria. But that's our country. They must come back. I also have children in the diaspora and I tell them they have no other place. They must come back. Dr. Shade Akiode of Choice Center Clinic and Dr. Odupele Ojosi of the Marcel Ruth Cancer Center, both in Lagos, are few of the examples. Both spent decades practicing overseas or returned to Nigeria to invest billions of naira in specialist hospitals. They believe that such initiative will impact our future and our generations. Let us set up Global Giving / Center of Excellence Initiative for Nigeria. Let us join the conversation. We cannot just afford to sit on the fence. Let us move beyond the negative feedback on social media. Let us engage the lawmakers, the justice system, the executive. Let us have lobby groups. We start a movement, not a revolution. We cannot sit on the fence and have an open field of success. Let us stand on the mountain top. Let us sing the song of our forebears on that cold morning when they saw nothing but grace at the Okeare gates. As I end this address, please join me in singing our school song, Arise All Sons of the Mountain Men. Can you join us? Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for inviting me. Enjoy your evening.